Hit it! Hey, everybody! David and Leo here.
Hi
We
there.
actually made it. We're actually in our Sukkot. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's not raining. It's not raining here in
Well,
London, so
right.
I'm doing good.
It was raining 20 minutes ago. This is typical Florida, by the way. It was. You could still hear the thunder. It was raining 20 minutes ago. Completely blue skies, but amazingly, now here's proof that the sukkah works. I came out here with a towel, expecting to have to dry everything off, but the schach on top was just enough. By the way, the fake. Sorry, I forgot to take my fake schach off. I have real schach up there, but the schach
Yeah.
actually kept the table dry, which was kind of amazing. So now, are you at
So
home
I'm
or at your temple?
no, I'm at my synagogue at the Ark Synagogue in Northwood. You're going to probably behind me there is London Underground, the tube line. So any minute now, this is every time we ever try and do anything out here, a tube train goes past. So that's going to happen. But no, this is it. This is our permanent sukkah that is also sometimes maybe used as the place that we have some lunch occasionally out on the grass out here. But
So it's a
it's great
permanent
to be
sukkah.
out here actually. Yeah, yeah. It's a permanent sukkah. But as you can see, it's been decorated. It got all decorated in the last couple of days,
Yeah.
or last week, with some ushpanot. I can't pronounce it.
Ushpizot?
Ushpizin
Yeah.
and Ushpizin pictures on there
Beautiful.
as well.
You know this. Um, I never saw it, but I was in Boston for 25 years, and the rumor was that the Bostoner Rebbe, his sanctuary had a retractable roof, a retractable ceiling, and that on Sukkot they would retract it. They'd put schach up. They'd have Sukkot in their sanctuary, and then they actually there was like a whole halachic, a Jewish legal thing about could they close the roof if it started to rain. And as it turned out, they could. So they would close the. Unbelievable.
I thought they had to be open all the year round. Well, during Sukkot, I thought you had to be open to the elements.
Yeah, I'm. I don't.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. I don't know.
You don't. I don't know. I have to
No.
say hello to Carly, who's watching from Beverly Hills. So I'm going to wave at Carly, who I'm
Beverly
doing a
Hills.
Sukkot hop.
Beverly Hills, California.
Yeah, Beverly Hills, California. I'm doing a sukkah hop with her and Robbie from the Commonwealth synagogues and everything. We're doing a big sukkah hop on Sunday.
Nice.
So
So
I
the
just
Ark
waving
Synagogue
waving
is
at.
watching you, and they like your sukkah.
Well, they should like it. They should like it. It's theirs. They should recognize it. So
Yeah.
I had to tell all the key holders that I was doing this because they're probably watching on the security cameras. We have something called CST, which is our community, which are all the security, and they will be watching as well.
So,
Uh,
so it's a good
so
thing you
I'll
told
be,
them you were coming.
so I can see my camera here, and I can see cameras with red little lights looking at me as well. So
That's
otherwise, that's it.
fantastic. So, Leo,
That's what
one
you
of the
have.
big discussions on a lot of the groups that I'm in recently has been how how can we take all this technology outdoors, right? For Sukkot, for Simchat Torah, how do we do this outdoors? Now, in full disclosure, what I'm using right now, I would not use if I were, leading a Sukkot service or what. I mean, I'm just sitting at a
Yeah.
table with, kind of like my full setup here. What are some of the solutions? I mean, I can throw some out. You can throw some out. What are some of the solutions for doing stuff on site, outdoors, Sukkot, Simchat Torah, stuff like that?
So my camera of it is an iPhone, and it's mounted on a DJI Go. So if I do a double click here, what should happen is the camera that's probably is going to zoom around and it's going to refocus itself.
It's
You
very
know when you
dark.
shouldn't press it. I know, shouldn't have pressed that one. But let's bring it back to there. So I can actually move it, and actually it will focus and it will stay on there. And it's great. It's stabilized because the biggest problem you ever have is when you're looking at somebody on an iPhone that they are not stable. So it will actually, and I can set it to follow me around. So that's a really useful thing. They're not that expensive. It's about $100, somewhat's somewhere around that figure
What's the name
for
of the tripod again? or the handle?
DJI,
DJI.
DJI, and it's there. This one is the Osmo 3. There is a new one. Like everything, as soon as you buy one, they bring out a new one, and you wish you had bought the new one. But
Yeah.
anyway, the new one is a DJI 4.
You know who else
At the
I think has?
moment,
I
yeah,
think also Obsbot, the people who make the tiny PTZ cameras. I think they also have one of those, just like a head that
yeah,
you can, put your camera on.
yeah. So this just puts your, yeah. That's another one. That one it holds the camera and it goes that way around. But this one is really great. Um, it's not. There's some issues on it. The last version was even better for
Do you hear
streaming.
that? Do you guys? Can you guys
But
hear the thunder? I am gonna get all my equipment's gonna get ruined right now. Sorry. Keep going.
so that's that. Audio, and I'm going to hold my hands up and apologize for my audio quality tonight. I'm actually on my normal ears, my aftershocks, which are the ones where I can actually hear out, which are great. And normally I would use a Rode Go microphone, which is a little microphone that's in here, and I plug it into the phone. But it's not. I've realised earlier today it wasn't with me, so I haven't got it. But that is great, and I've used it quite a few times on funerals as well. And it's the sort of thing I give to the rabbi, give him that. I hold it, and we're there. I've just
Yeah.
seen some bats go by.
Oh my
Just seen
lord.
some bats.
Oh
So
my
that's
gosh.
great.
What? Yeah. The great thing about the Rode Go is, or the Rode Go 2 rather, I think, is that you've got those
Yeah,
two transmitters. So if you've got a rabbi, a
yeah,
cantor, or even if I was actually talking with a community the other night and thinking of putting one on a presenter, they have a handheld kind of accessory that you can shove the other one onto. So then you've got a speaker and a microphone for questions, and it's going really really nicely into Zoom or wherever you're streaming out to.
yeah. And obviously, the key thing to this, and the key thing with everything you do, if you're going to go online like this, you need to have somebody back at the ranch that can actually do with the other stuff. So I'm just here on myself. David's there. You're a bit more connected than I am.
Right.
So I can't sit here. I can't look at unfortunately, I can't see the chat. So you're going to have to tell me who's saying anything in the chat. I can't see all those sort of things. The other thing is lighting, and what I've done here, I've got these lights which I've shown you before, David, the Pava tubes. So these are the Pava tubes. There's too bright to actually, but you'll see it's pretty bright, Pava tubes,
Those are the
and
six
they're
inch.
actually magnetic. The sixes, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got this one on white, and I've got the other one. I've got a bit of color on the other one just so that there's some degree of color,
Am I wrong,
to
or are
make
those
it.
pretty expensive?
No, they're about they're again. It seems to be the price of everything. It's about $100. They are expensive in compared to other things.
Hey, look who's here.
Hey Jeff. Hey
Jeff
Jeff.
from Zoom Test Kitchen. How you do? Are you in your sukkah, Jeff? Wait, we can't hear you.
I can't hear Jeff.
Oh, there we go.
Can I
Now
come
we
on?
can hear you. Oh, wait.
This is when
Sorry. I'm
things
back.
don't
Hold
work.
on. I'm here. My camera just went out. Sorry about that. Internal temp too high. Allow it to cool. My
Whoa,
camera's crapping
whoa.
out on me.
What,
All right, I'll
what
go to this
camera?
one. I'll go to this one. Jeff, can you hear us? Yes.
Can we hear
Can we hear
you? We
you?
can't hear you, Jeff. No.
Hmm. We're learning here, folks. Figuring this out. Let me see. Guest has muted themselves, it says. In the, you might have a mute
This
button
is
over there. For those of you who don't know, Jeff is the head honcho over at Zoom Test Kitchen. And Zoom OSC Test Kitchen and Zoom Test Kitchen, which are now one on Fridays at 3 o'clock, I think it is Eastern. Fridays at 3 Eastern. And he's gone. It's a really
He'll come
great.
back.
Oh, I got to change this camera now too.
And your camera's out as well.
Yeah. No, I
So
just got to change the camera back.
that's fine.
And
So which
guest
camera
is
of yours is
in
overheated, David?
my ZV-1. It's entirely
Okay.
possible that I didn't. I have the wrong setting on there or something. Hey, Jeff. Oh man, what's going on here?
I can't hear Jeff.
Why can't we hear you? That's really weird. I'm gonna try something else. I'm gonna make you guess 3 and see what happens. Did that make a difference? I don't think that made a difference. No. Oh
You
man,
have
I'm
a mute.
sorry,
You have a
Jeff.
mute. You have a mute and unmute in Ecan, if I remember
Yeah. No,
rightly,
it's
somewhere.
that's no, that's on.
Unfortunately, Jeff, we only sent the link out just before we went live.
Yeah,
So
we did.
normally we would have actually asked somebody before and do the, as we always say, test out before you go live, make sure everything's ready. But that's fine. Oh,
Can you hear?
I
Can
think
you
I
hear
just
me
had.
now?
Oh my lord, there he is.
Boy!
What are you
Hey,
doing?
it was my fault. It was my fault.
How are
We'll,
you?
we'll, we'll, we'll let you take responsibility, Jeff.
I'll own it.
Now,
I'll
are
own
you
it.
in
I'm
your
doing good.
sukkah,
How are you
Jeff?
guys?
Good. Are you in a sukkah?
Doing good.
You'll have to tell me what a
Do
sukkah
you? I was
is.
just gonna say, do you know what? I love it. I love it. So we are in the middle of the Jewish holiday of Sukkot, and Sukkot reminds us of the times that when the ancient Israelites, left Egypt and were schlepping to Israel, and as they were wandering, they lived in booths. And a sukkah is just a Hebrew word for booth. And so on this holiday, it's traditional that we build booths and we eat in them and we sleep. Some people sleep in them. And so Leo is out at his synagogue's sukkah. I'm at one of mine, although mine is incredibly bland compared to Leo's. His looks much better than mine.
Wow, how
So I
cool.
just realized if I put the light behind me and face it that way, that probably works actually better, doesn't it?
That's nice. Now you
Gives a
got a
bit of
little
lighting.
Sharpie. I like it.
There you go. Hey. So,
So Jeff,
so
while
yeah,
you're
we're just.
here, plug the Zoom kitchen.
Well, I heard you as I was trying to reconnect, introducing the Zoom Test Kitchen. We've been doing. It's a Facebook group, Zoom Test Kitchen, and it's a meeting place, a Zoom meeting that I've been hosting for over a year and a half now, every Friday. And it's just a place it's a community where Zoom admins, Zoom moderators, producers of live events come to share, to learn, to really, I say, sharpen their skills. Zoom is one of those things that, on its surface, everybody believes is really simple, and thank goodness for that, because it created a lot of adoption. But fact of the matter is there's a lot of things behind the scenes and a lot of undocumented behaviors, and that's really what we dig in so we can do our jobs better and
Nice.
have smooth meetings, right?
Hey, can I ask you a question, Jeff? So
Yeah.
we were talking before about, because Sukkot is an outdoor holiday, a lot of people during this time, like us, are connecting wirelessly. Do you have any deep insights into how Zoom functions or degrades when you're not plugged into Ethernet? Is there a significant difference in the quality you're going to get, Wi-Fi or Ethernet?
I I don't think that there's any immediate playing the brain and voice of Zoom is like, oh, we just got switched over to wireless, I'm going to do something differently. I don't believe that that's a known behavior in my book. If the consequence of switching over to a wireless network is less bandwidth, and then it will start making different decisions for resolution delivery, video resolution delivery to you. But I've had, I, like a lot of people, I mean, I listen to office hours on Zoom, not YouTube, every morning, almost every morning, in my car on my mobile device, and have very few. The biggest issue I have is when I'm pulling out of my driveway.
Really?
I have like this AT&T dead spot, but outside of that, I burned a lot of data for it. But needless to say, no known behavior that I'm aware of, and done plenty of events on Zoom. I have some of our folks at different chapels who some of them stream our TMP to our platform at the church, but then others will just use a mobile device that is wirelessly connected to the building. It's Meraki wireless, and they do it with Zoom, and it works great. So I don't recommend it when it certainly wouldn't be my choice if
Right.
I would never ignore a wall outlet, right, with a network jack. um, but
Yeah, it's one of the things I keep hearing is how important it is when you're streaming, when you're doing this stuff, to be plugged in. But there are not only times, but there are circumstances when it, it's not that it necessitates it. It's that the experience itself is a mobile experience that you're trying to create.
yeah
Um, and man, Leo, your lighting is like you're having fun with the lighting over there. It looks nice now.
yeah
You,
yeah it does.
well, you know me from other things that I do. I always like. I mean, I put this up. I've literally, so as I said, I've got a big floodlight that's on the back of the building. Then I've got my light at the bottom, which I should actually move up, but I've put the light behind me so you can just see. It's the one I was showing you earlier, but I have it on. It's rotating between colours. Can you hear the tube train? Can you hear the tube train?
Not only that, we
Yeah,
can see the lights behind it, go behind the
Yeah,
sucker
you can
going.
see the lights. That's it. That's it. That's the that's London Underground. So
That's
it's
fantastic.
good. No. I think you hit some good points there, Jeff. About as these things move forward, we've got to work out ways of using this technology on the go that is deliverable. I think is the right
yeah.
word. Uh,
Well,
and I
and
think yeah,
that's it. I mean, I've had gigs where they're total out of town gigs. I live in the center of America, in Kansas, and every once in a while I get called out to some rural area that I'm not familiar with. And fact is there's no guarantee that it's going to be a better experience because you plug in. That's
yeah,
one thing. I mean, when you're in rural America, they aren't exactly all delivering high speed bandwidth, even through the plugs versus the wireless. So, one of the first things I do is I call the customer, and I a local if I know anybody, and I say, who's your best cellular provider? Because there's always a go-to in rural America. There's always that go-to cellular provider. Often the answer in this area is Verizon, and I'll bring my Verizon hotspot, and I have delivered plenty over my Verizon hotspot. Um, there was a time where I delivered two 2-hour streams, RTMP streams, over the Verizon hotspot, and it was fantastic. So I tend to believe that cellular wireless is more dependable than Wi-Fi in our homes, if you will, because Wi-Fi really was made to move data, and cellular from the get-go was voice and video. And so I think it just does a better job carrying video packets than Wi-Fi itself.
That's fascinating. I
that
never
that
would have
I
expected
think
you to
that's
say that.
really Yeah, that's really interesting thought. I mean, when I joined David, I'm just on the edge of the Wi-Fi here, and it was just breaking up. I turned the Wi-Fi off. I'm on 5G on my phone, and I don't know because I I can only see my end, not your end.
Yeah,
The 5G seems to be working.
yeah, yeah.
Leo, have you
Doesn't
used?
surprise me. And
Ha,
the other thing is these mobile hotspots, right? They, on one side it's the mobile hotspot to the carrier, but on the other side it's providing Wi-Fi to your devices. Fact is when I'm on a job and I have to really like give that extra edge of dependability, is I always tether on the Wi-Fi side, so I just direct connect there, because Wi-Fi is the breakdown in my experience, and then let the wireless piece of it be the cellular side of the device, not the actual Wi-Fi side, the network side.
do you use Speedify or anything like that to bond
Oh, I'm
different
not
cellular
hearing you,
signals?
David, all of a sudden.
Oh, that's
I'm here. The question is, do you use Speedify to bond
I
or
can't hear
anything? Any
Leo
of the
either. I'm
bonding?
not sure. Let me see if this is me. Hang on.
We can hear. I can hear.
yeah. We
So
got Leland likes your sukkah. No one is commenting on. You know what? Now I'm feeling like I should have just stayed in my office. I mean,
you got sucker envy, have
I got.
you?
I'm serious. Wait, are you ready for this? You're not ready for this. Check this
Go
out.
on.
Okay. Now, two of the symbols we use on Sukkot, I can't believe I forgot to do this at the top, are a lulav and an etrog. A lulav is, I didn't actually bring my lulav. A lulav is a long branch, and an etrog looks like a
Yeah.
lemon. Check this etrog
Yeah.
out.
Oh my
Look at
goodness.
this thing. This is, I mean, it is literally the size of my head. This is not a
Okay.
digital. Okay, this what apparently there's a former music teacher from our community has like 10, yeah, Leland, holy cow, has like 10 etrog trees in her backyard. And so one of the rabbis here went over to her house and got this. Oh my God, wait, I gotta take this stupid thing off. There we go. And got this. I mean, I have never in my life seen an etrog this big. No, here's something that's interesting, by the way. A little Jewish trivia for you. This etrog is missing something. It's missing the pitom. Some lulavs, the pitom, Jeff, it's like it's not the stem, because this is the stem, but there's another like stemmy looking thing that sometimes grows on the other side. And if an etrog has a pitom, a little stemmy thing, and it breaks off, you can't use it. But not every etrog has a pitom. This one grew without one, and the other one grew with one. And thank you, Leland, again. This is what I was talking about, Leo. Moshe paid 1,000 shekels for that thing on Ushpizin. So there's a great movie called Ushpizin. And yes, he wanted the best etrog in the world. I don't think his was even as big as this. This is like serious. Sorry. So I may have sukkah envy, but you guys have etrog envy. That's all I'm saying. Hey, I have a question for both of you. So I don't know if you guys can hear in the background, but the thunder is like going insane. It's still clear skies, so I don't know what the heck. I mean, go figure in Florida. When you're doing stuff outdoors, what are some of the precautions you need to take with your gear? Right, to keep everything, if you're doing a funeral outdoors, or even a church or a synagogue service outdoors, or a holiday, how do you keep your gear safe? Now, from rain, I get it. I mean, rain, you just don't put your gear in the rain, but maybe just from the elements. Tips or tricks that you all have for keeping your gear safe?
So I'm
Well,
typically
yeah.
I always use a gazebo, a pop-up gazebo. Not quite, because this isn't going to protect me from even one drop of rain. But a pop-up gazebo is, always put everything in. And actually, I put the pop-up gazebo up first, because if the gazebo is up, that's where the equipment's going, and it's like you've marked your space and said, this is where I'm going to be. Otherwise, if you try and put it up later, it's too late. And we put it up straight away. If we're using audio desks, we'll put it underneath. We'll put everything else there, and we work from that. That's how I normally work
Yeah.
it. Because one of the things that happens, and you just demonstrated. Oh, Jeff's gone. One of the things that you
That was me.
demonstrated indirectly is this equipment doesn't like heat.
Yeah.
Particularly, my phone, when I pick my phone up in a minute, because it's been running the camera for a while, it's going to be hot. And if there's sun coming on it, makes it even worse. And the worst thing that can happen is halfway through something, the camera just
Yeah.
suddenly drops down dead and dies from heat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've had that before.
Yeah, it's exposure is exposure. It's not just rain and storms. It is like Leo says, the sun itself, right, is and most of our equipment is black, and so it just absorbs the heat to put the awnings up early is it's a cooling. It's almost like turning on the air conditioning, on certain days, right? And so you mark your spot and let it cool down before you get there with all the equipment and and
Hey,
then kind of a
speaking of the
choice
black
whether you
color,
put
speaking
you
of the
can
black color, did you see that report about the whitest paint in the world?
I saw the headline but I did not
It's
read the
really
article.
it's really interesting. Apparently, this paint you paint your roof with this, and you won't need air conditioning anymore because it reflects so much
Wow.
of the heat. So we need to start painting our gear white.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
it's sort of the opposite of Venta Black.
Right.
Yeah.
What's it? What's the white called? I can't remember. Is this new? Is this another one that's new?
And I just saw the report the other day. I don't know. Do you know?
Okay.
You
There's
know
been
the
a
I
couple out
let,
because it's like this.
well
Yeah.
whitest? Let me see where I can find
yeah,
the
whitest
whitest.
paint. Uh
Holy
world's whitest
mackerel!
paint. I don't know if they give it a name.
But
Let's see.
these things are always super interesting because when you think about, so one of the things they did in London a number of years ago, they painted all the roofs of all the red London buses. They're all now white for exactly the reason you said, is that they've reduced the amount of heat in the top of the bus just by painting the roof white. And this is, these sort of environmental improvements, which aren't going to change anything. It's not going to affect you because the roof is white, but it saves us the amount of energy and the amount of things that we can save is great and great for the environment.
That's fantastic.
So
That's
it's great to see.
yeah. Leland just gave us a. I mean, it's all over the place. He just gave us a in the chat. It was developed at Purdue University. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Jeff. I'm really sorry, but when you were talking about the color of the gear, you made me think of this. Um, it's
Yeah.
considered a breakthrough in sustainability because it has the potential to significantly reduce our reliance on air conditioning.
If
Uh,
Leland looked in Discord, he could join us.
yeah, Leland.
The links
Yeah.
it's in Discord.
Typical paints are between 80. There are so many bugs out here. Are between 80 and 90% reflective. This is 98.1 reflective of sunlight. That's wild. That is just wild.
Well, even our roads, right? Black asphalt. I mean, we invite a ton of heat into the earth. That's for sure, with a lot of our materials and asphalt shingles, right? I mean, a lot to be said. I
Is there a
guess
way?
there'd be a lot to be said about a white world too, like totally white, reflective, everybody's squinting everywhere they go. But at the same time, could be, as far as my home, I think I might deal with it. Get some
Well,
ceramic tiles that are coated with this white paint. And what I'd be interested in knowing is let's take the brightest white that existed yesterday before this headline and tell me the delta difference between the two. Like how big of a difference is it, or is it just a headline? And
right.
it's a little bit brighter. I mean, the reflective properties of our existing white paint have to be pretty decent, I would guess. But
I don't
I'm no
know.
scientist, so
Are there not alternative artificial ways to keep your gear cool? Let's say you are outdoors and you can't my audio's a bit low. He's saying, all right. Let's say you're outdoors and you can't be in air conditioning, or are there artificial tools to keep your gear at the right temperature that either of you know of? I mean, is it just a
Uh,
matter
uh,
of
No.
fans and things like that?
fans, and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
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 Fans,
So
I mean, if you commonly stack, maybe don't stack so tight your, equipment or racks or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, I try to avoid the outdoor stuff as much as possible.
Yeah.
I know there's some folks we know that do, a lot of outdoor sporting events and so forth. Sure they have a lot of killer practices that make a big difference. I mean, Jeff's out there shooting, tennis, pro tennis, and it's just like, there got to be some hot days.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Leland did mention a laptop cooling platform. I hadn't thought about that. It's a good idea. I
Yeah.
actually saw one of those in Best Buy. I had never seen it before. Never even thought about it. And it's interesting because I'm on my MacBook Pro right now, my M1. I use it nonstop, and it's warm. And I think it's because I'm not in the air conditioning. It usually doesn't really get warm, even though I'm doing a lot on it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, all right. So what else? What else about? Let's talk. Let's talk. So we did Sukkot. Let's talk Simchat Torah. Now, see, you're getting
okay.
the best Jewish education. So Simchat Torah is the
Yeah.
last day of Sukkot, and it's traditionally you go outside, you sing, you dance. There's music. It's like crazy.
Tuesday.
It's this year. It's on Tuesday. So or Tuesday, depending on where you are, Tuesday night, Wednesday. So last year, here, we didn't do a multi-access or hybrid experience. It was on site. Everyone was here, but I took my GoPro, tethered it to my phone, and was able to stream out to YouTube and Facebook. Actually, it was only to one of them. Not a terrible stream. I mean, it was just a GoPro on a stick, but
On stick. Yeah.
it wasn't bad. You know, what are some solutions for? And now the trick about Simchat Torah, other than being outside, is that there's a lot of movement, right? In Sukkot, you have a kind of a fixed area. What about when you're dealing with a lot of movement?
So, the thing I was saying earlier on mine, because I'm using the DJI, it enables you to walk through crowds. It enables you to follow, and what you can do. There's some really clever ways of using it, which is you can actually set it to pan and follow things through, and it's just trying to get that movement without. But the key thing about movement is keep the camera movement down. So the reason that you were talking about your GoPro works is because most of the new GoPros have all got image stabilization in, and this has got image stabilization in. If I move this camera, you can see that it's actually moving smoothly. It's not moving too fast. It comes and moves with it, and that is, although obviously I'm just moving the joystick there, it's critical because people can't watch things which move too fast. And I think that's where they don't realize it. The classic is when you're sitting there on a call with somebody and they've got their laptop on their lap and they're watching you, and all you're seeing is the camera bouncing.
Right.
It's like, you're like, could you stop that? I'm feeling ill. I want to get off this ride.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
doing that. And then, as we always talk, and I know I'm not demonstrating good practice at the moment with my audio. It's finding ways of getting audio. And there were a couple of things. One of the things that's very interesting this week on Office Hours, for anybody who was watching it, they talked about parabolic microphones. These are these microphones with these big round dishes at the back, and they're designed to pick up in the distance. So you're normally used to see these. So they always appear on TV programs like the spy movies, where they seem to point a parabolic dish about this big to about a building 4 miles away, and can hear everything pin perfectly. That doesn't happen. But what it does do is it does pick up the direction of people who are talking or can pick up the noise of something, which is a fair distance away. So you see them a lot of times used in stadia for sports. But there are ways of doing picking things up and making it legible. Because I think one of the things I always find with outdoor events, particularly in stadia or particularly in large environments, is all you hear is the echoes coming back, and it just makes it really super tough for people to hear. So the way to do it, mic up somebody close. Mic up somebody close, as you were talking about the road goes
Yeah,
and things like that, and then plug them in,
yeah. And
and not have trains
and
go
not have a
past
train
all the
going
time.
behind you. Yeah. I actually, by the way, I'm going to cut this short in about 3 minutes because I have just about exhausted my luck with the rain. But I just want to say that, I'm really glad that you came in on your phone because people don't realize what a good camera they have on their phone. Um,
Yeah,
and I would argue that I would not use my phone for audio, but for a camera
no.
source, it's just fantastic. It's a great option that you have in your pocket. There's no reason.
And remember, that's that I'm using my front-facing camera,
Oh,
so
you say front? Wow.
I'm
Yeah.
not even using really good cameras, the really good ones that are on there.
And by the way,
It's
for
great when
those
you
of
say
you
something really stop.
and for those of you who watched the iPhone 13 event, the new cameras in the new iPhone 13, the dark mode. So it's late at night where Leo is now. The low light mode on those. I happen to not be an iPhone guy. I'm an Android guy, but the low light mode on those just looks unbelievable, just incredible.
I think the Android guys out there will say it's about time. it's, I've had friends with Androids because I am an iPhone guy, and they have blown me out of the water with their low light capability for a while now, and I'm glad it's finally here. But it has been a long time coming.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what the Pixel 6 is going to offer. If they're going to also, I mean, they've been making such a big deal about the camera bump, the camera bar, whatever it is. We've been seeing that everywhere. It seems to me like they're celebrating the camera on this particular device. So I'm looking forward to seeing if they actually back that up with some solid hardware and software.
Yeah.
So before you go, David, I just want to quickly ask you back on Simchat Torah. Are you rolling? How are you rolling your Torah? Are you doing anything to show it? What will
Yeah,
you
it's
be
a really
doing?
good question. So, like most, I'm sorry, I'm flapping my arms like bugs everywhere. So, like most, not most, sorry, like a lot of synagogues, our custom here was you unroll the entire Torah. You unroll the whole thing kind of around everyone, and you have people holding it very carefully, and that's what we did for years. What we did last year, which was actually really kind of neat, was we have 5 or 6, I forget exactly, maybe even 7 Torah scrolls here. We brought them all out. We had little pods of people. So maybe we had families standing. So one family was holding one Torah, one family was holding another Torah. And then instead of going through one Torah scroll and kind of celebrating all the different highlights of the Torah, we jumped from Torah to Torah and we read, and each one was rolled to a different place. And then we read from a different place at each Torah. So that way we were able to keep everyone physically distanced, but we were still sort of able to kind of recreate the experience of, seeing lots of different points in the Torah.
Yeah.
But we did it from many Torah scrolls as opposed to doing it from one, which we would normally do. So
I
what
think
about
this
you
is
guys?
one of
What do
those.
you all do out there?
So what we did last year, I don't know what we're going to be doing this year, but I'm sure Rabbi Leah is going to surprise us and Rabbi Aaron. But what they did last year is Leah, she held her phone up and rolled the whole Torah, and then did it, and then recut it, doing it at probably double speed, and put music over it, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant because you could
I
see
remember
all of the
seeing
various
that.
different elements.
Yeah.
Yeah, you saw all the various different elements. You saw, the Ten Commandments. You can see all the bits which are very different within there, and you can see, and all the bits. They're really it's quite spectacular because one of the things that for us, Jeff, us the Jews in the pews, we don't see the inside of the Torah very often. We see it. I mean, for someone like David, he sees it every week. For me, I saw it when I was 13. I see it a couple of other times. I see it when someone just holds it up and shows us a bit, but you just don't see it on a regular basis. And to be able to, that is a big thing in this, what this has brought about, is people are actually seeing in,
Yeah.
because lots of synagogues have now got Torah cams, cameras looking down at these things, cameras looking at places or getting closer to the things that you would see in, and the same in churches, you see everything in a distance. Suddenly you're being able to see it up close, is quite magical.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
All right,
Right.
folks.
Cool.
I'm gonna call it a day. I'm feeling
Okay.
incredibly blessed and lucky that I made it to 5:42 Eastern time. Jeff, this was such a treat to have you on. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Uh,
so glad I could join, and I got a nice quick education. I'm looking at Torahs. I'm looking at a $23,000 Torah
yeah, they're
on
expensive
eBay right now.
on eBay. They
Wow.
are
But I'm
expensive.
also looking at Wikipedia and seeing what the writings categorically are and so forth. So that's all new to me. So thanks
Nice.
for introducing me to that as well.
Well, Jeff is sort of the Zoom master. He's teaching everyone about Zoom, so the least we could do is offer you a little something back in return.
There
Jeff,
you go.
where can
There.
Great.
people find you on? Where can people find the Test Kitchen?
Probably the best place to start is on Facebook. It's the Zoom. It's not but Zoom Test Kitchen, and it's a group. And join the group, and that's where we send out invitations for when we meet every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern, and learn and ask and share and have a great time in the Zoom Test Kitchen. So yeah, thanks for
Awesome.
letting me mention it.
Oh, of course, of course. And Leo, is tonight is Hybrid Ministries I won't be able to be there, but it's happening tonight. Yes.
Yes, a Hybrid Ministries Tech Forum will be on in just over an hour,
Yeah.
with run by Marty. Uh, that's on. You can find that on Facebook. You can find that on in the new Facebook channel. You can also find it on YouTube as well. And there's links in there. We'll put a link in this where you're watching this to find that. So that's a weekly show for people involved in all religions, and broadcasting, and trying to we're all trying to get through and work out how to help each other move forward in this environment.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I will be back with Torah Tech Tips, not next week because it's still holiday, but the week after that. I'm hoping to pick up the Unmute series again. And we're going to keep doing this, I think. And we're going to try and get more people to join us, more guests to join us, really kind of dive into how do we bring Torah and tech together. I'll say one last thing, and that is that I think a lot of us put an extraordinary amount of time into the technology that we used around the high holidays. And now I'm getting a phone call. We put a lot of energy into the technology we used around the high holidays, and probably a lot of money. But it's important for us to remember that that is just one tiny piece of the power that we have to share and to spread and to touch people's lives. We get to do that all year long, and this technology can help us do that. So I think with that, we're going to say goodbye. I'm so grateful to all of you, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. See you later.
Goodbye. Bye.